The house stood alone at the end of Harbinger Lane, dark and imposing like a menacing giant. It was a place of whispers and shadows. Locals told tales, stories that chilled you to the bone. They said it was haunted by the spirits of those who died within its walls. No one dared to go near except, of course, for us. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. Every step we took echoed through the empty halls. The walls were lined with portraits whose eyes seemed to follow our every move. A cold breeze whispered through the broken windows, sending shivers down our spines. We huddled together, our flashlights barely piercing the darkness. And then we found the door, the one that led to the heart of the mystery. We were young and foolish, drawn to the unknown, the thrill of fear. We stood outside the creaking gate, iron bars twisted and cold, daring each other to enter. The wind moaned through the trees, like the house was breathing, inviting us in. One by one we slipped through the broken gate, foolishly brave, or perhaps simply foolish. The air grew colder as we stepped inside. Shadows danced on the walls, cast by our trembling flashlights. Every creak of the floorboards echoed in the silence, making our hearts race. We whispered to each other, trying to mask our fear with nervous laughter. The house seemed to watch us, its dark windows like eyes following our every move. We ventured deeper, each step a test of our courage, the thrill of the unknown pulling us further into the darkness. Inside, the air was heavy, thick with dust and decay. The smell of damp earth filled our nostrils. Cobwebs clung to everything, like ghostly fingers reaching out. Then we saw it, a portrait above the fireplace, the eyes of the woman in the painting. They seemed to follow us, a cold, sightless stare. That sent shivers down our spines. The room seemed to close in around us. Shadows danced on the walls, cast by the flickering candlelight. Every creak of the old house felt like a whisper. We couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The woman's eyes, though lifeless, held a strange power. They bore into our souls. We felt an overwhelming urge to leave, but something kept us rooted to the spot. A chilling presence that we couldn't explain. We moved deeper into the house, each room filled with decaying grandeur, faded velvet curtains, rotting furniture. The silence was broken only by the sound of our own breathing, and something else. A faint thumping sound, like a heartbeat. Growing louder with each step we took, fear tightened its grip on our chests, urging us to turn back. But curiosity pushed us forward. The walls seemed to close in, the air growing colder. We reached a door at the end of the hallway. It creaked open, revealing a room bathed in an eerie glow. In the center, an old chest. The heartbeat was deafening now. We hesitated, then opened the chest. Inside, a diary, its pages yellowed with age. The heartbeat stopped. Silence. We exchanged glances, knowing this was just the beginning of the house's secrets. Section 5, The Shadow in the Moonlight. We reached the top of the stairs. A long, dark hallway stretched before us. Moonlight streamed through a broken window, casting long, eerie shadows. And then we saw it. A figure standing at the end of the hall, tall and shadowy. Its eyes glowed an eerie red. We froze, our blood turning to ice in our veins. The clock struck midnight, echoing through the empty halls. A cold wind blew through the broken window, making the curtains flutter. My hand trembled as I gripped the flashlight tighter. Footsteps echoed, growing louder with each passing second. We could barely breathe, our hearts pounding in our chests. The shadowy figure moved closer, its presence overwhelming. A door creaked open behind us, making us jump. We turned to see an empty room, the light flickering ominously. When we looked back, the figure had vanished, leaving us in the eerie silence. Section 6. The diary. We stumbled back in terror, tripping over our own feet, fleeing the house like bats out of hell. But our curiosity lingered. We had to know more. The next day we returned. This time we found a hidden room. Inside, a dusty diary lay open, its yellowed pages filled with spidery handwriting, the diary of the woman in the portrait. We carefully turned the pages, finding old photographs tucked between them. Each photo told a story of its own. The candle flickered, casting eerie shadows. One page had a detailed sketch of the house. We realized it was a map. Following the map, we explored further and discovered a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside, we found old letters and trinkets. The letters revealed secrets long forgotten. The woman in the portrait had a story to tell, and we were determined to uncover it all. Section 7, The Truth. The woman wrote of her husband, a cruel man driven mad by greed. He had locked her away in the house, left her to die, but she swore revenge. She would never leave. Her spirit would roam the house forever. We closed the diary, our hearts pounding. The legend was true. The house was haunted by the woman's vengeful spirit. We had to get out, now. As we scrambled to leave, we heard footsteps above us. A shadowy figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Our blood ran cold. We were not alone. The diary's pages began to turn on their own. A ghostly hand reached out, beckoning us. We fled into the night, the forest our only refuge. The house loomed behind us, its windows glowing with an eerie light. We vowed never to return. The truth was too terrifying to face again. Section 8, Trapped. But as we turned to leave, the door slammed shut. We were trapped. The temperature plummeted. The air grew thick and cold. We could feel her presence, watching us. The thumping sound returned, louder than ever. Echoing through the house, our hearts pounded in our chests. We were going to die here, just like the woman in the portrait. The candlelight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. We heard whispers, soft and unsettling, as if the walls themselves were speaking. Time seemed to slow down, each tick of the old clock echoing like a drumbeat. We huddled together, our hands trembling, seeking comfort in each other's presence. Strange symbols began to appear on the walls, glowing faintly in the darkness. We realized we were not alone. The house itself was alive, and it wanted us to stay forever. Section 9, The Final Revelation. Suddenly the thumping stopped. Silence. We held our breath, listening. Then, a blood-curdling scream. It wasn't coming from the ghost, it was coming from one of us. The other boy, his face pale and terrified, pointed a trembling finger. "It's you," he stammered. "You're the one who's haunted." The red spot on his friend's shirt grew larger. The haunted house had claimed another victim. But this time it wasn't a ghost. It was something far more sinister, something hidden within ourselves.